Drink Mayhem Festival with David Ellefson from Megadeth. What's going on, man?
Oh, doing good, man.
And
yeah.
How does it feel? 25 years.
I don't feel that old.
No, I mean, it's like it was yesterday.
It totally does, especially because we used to come through here to Atlanta all the time, right? These were our haunts. In fact, a lot of the stops in this tour, Detroit, Chicago, here, of course, these man, we've been coming here for years and years and years. So,
well, I mean, this album really is a seminal album for any metalhead. If you've listened to heavy metal at any time, Peace Sells But Who's Buying was in your collection at some point in time. And to be 25 years later and to see where Megadeth was then and where they are now, in-game, amazing album, and now 13.
Right.
The new album, 13th studio album,
right,
getting ready for release. What went into that new album, and how did you guys really sit down and approach it as a band? I mean, you just rejoined Megadeth after a long absence. The Big Four going on and everything.
Right.
Did you guys put a lot of this together while you were on the road with the Big Four? Or?
What went into that album was about 10 weeks. It was a quick album, man. We went in, we had like piles of riffs and ideas, and we had some lyrics, and it was kind of a smattering of a bunch of stuff. But we're one of these bands that we work better under pressure. It's like we have, it's like things expand to fit the budget and fit the schedule. So when you don't have a lot of time and you got to make it work, we basically did it between Big Four shows, between the Indio show at the end of April. We went in right after that, and the next show we did was another Big Four show over in Germany on July 2nd. So we literally had like that little 2-month window to get in and knock the whole thing out. And there's an urgency about it, and it just ironically it's a lot like the Peace Sells album. We came off of a little tour that we did for Peace Sells, which was our pre-production.
Right.
Back in the day before everybody could film it and take pictures and bootleg it and put it all over. I mean, you couldn't do that today because your new material would be all over the internet. But back in those days, we did a little 3-week tour, and we knew that Peace Sells was going to be a hit. You could, there's some songs when you play them live, they just connect. And we knew on that tour that we had a hit on our hands, to the degree that when we went in to record the record, because we originally recorded it for Combat Records, which is our first indie record label, and after we recorded it, then Capitol Records picked up the deal, and we carried on with Capitol for many years. But initially Combat, they wanted to call the album Wake Up Dead, and we're like, you're kidding, right? I mean, dude, Peace Sells is the obvious hit, and and it just, fortunately, as things went along, we did the artwork. Actually, Dave and I were in New York City, sitting directly across from the UN building, sitting at a little place called Wiley's Ribs with our booking agent, and we looked out the window, and all of a sudden Dave started talking, and the whole idea for basically what became Vic out in front of the dilapidated UN building. That's how that came together.
Now, Vic Rattlehead, the mascot of Megadeth, didn't really get a name for a while. I mean, he was featured on almost every album cover and everything, and then just became an entity unto himself. What brought that about?
Well, he was really, it's funny, there was the song on the first record, Killing Is My Business. There was two that really kind of parlayed his creation. One was Looking Down the Cross, of the See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Speak No Evil, and then also the song The Skull Beneath the Skin. So those two were really about the creation of Vic, and we had this whole skull and crossbones thing, and it was Vic and these the crossing of the skulls and everything, and that was supposed to be the original art. That was supposed to be the artwork for the cover of the Killing Is My Business record. Then Combat puts this thing in front of us that they did with this skull and some ketchup on it and strawberry jelly around it. It looked like blood. We're like, you're kidding, right? And again, it's that's the way things go sometimes, But fortunately, in 2001, we went in and remixed and remastered Killing Is My Business, and we put the artwork, it was a newer rendition of it, but the artwork we really wanted with Vic on it, with the cross, the bones on it and everything. So little by little over the years, some things we were able to actually go back in time and rectify and re-release them the way that we originally wanted it to be.
Well, when you approached 13, you said it was a hectic process. But I mean, you guys have been around for so long, and you've played together so long. There's almost what the other one's thinking.
Pretty much, yeah. And it wasn't even really hectic. I didn't mean to give that impression. It was just swift.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Dave and I, especially, You know, it's nice because when I walked through the studio door, the tracks were down, the drums were done, a lot of the rhythm guitars, and I came in to play bass. And, you know, and Dave and I, you know, he just said, he goes, man, this is the first record we've done in a long time, and you know, he was really excited. Obviously, I was excited to come back and put my bass down for the fans and on a new Megadeth record, and so they're really, you're right. There's a synergy that happens where, you know, Dave and I have been playing together for so long that we kind of already know where the next step is going to be.
Right.
And Sean is such a great drummer, very quick. I mean, he was knocking out drum takes within 2 hours every night, you know, and
then you had this beast on the guitar.
Oh, Chris, you know, and like Johnny K, our producer, said, you know, after Chris had played some stuff, he said, you know, Johnny was, you know, he goes, yeah, Chris seems very able, or very capable, I think, was very capable of doing whatever it is we need him to do. And I think Johnny, you know, Johnny's worked with a lot of younger bands, certainly had some huge successes under his belt, but I think he liked coming in to work with a band like Megadeth, where we're definitely veterans of what we do. We've been through the recording process a lot. And so I think for a producer, it's nice when all of us were at the level of, you know, we kept each other on each other's toes because everybody was really good at what we do, you know.
Now, I have heard this rumor that something else came out of the Big Four, a possible supergroup being put together of you, Mustaine, Hetfield, and Ulrich.
Yeah, that's an idea that actually, you know, I think Dave was thinking about, like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if we could do a supergroup like that, you know? So I think it's an idea. It's let's just put it this way: we haven't, the four of us have not been in a room doing that. The supergroup, really, out of the Big Four that has happened, which I think the fans are thrilled about, is that the encore, when we get on stage for the encore for Metallica's set, and we all get up there and we play. You know, we're like a bunch of little kids on the playground again. You know, it's like we never grew up. We're just up there throwing down, and
everybody's sitting around in the garage, and there's all these extra instruments laying
around. Yeah, there's a lot of drums and a lot of headstocks up there. You know what I mean?
That's it.
So,
I mean, but it comes off so great live.
It is cool.
And there is this immense chemistry. I mean, being one of the Big Four, the founders of Bay Area thrash, right, and having that, I don't want to say label, but I guess honorific being implied upon
honorific. The emphasis on riff, I guess,
yeah,
right?
That's it. I mean, you have these great musicians that have been around for so long and have influenced so many other bands that are out there now. Mm-hmm. I mean, what feeling does that create within you?
You know, you don't really think about it because I'm just I live right here in my own shoes, you know what I mean? So I don't really get that, you know, perspective of it. I guess probably, you know, even here on the Mayhem tour, you know, Godsmack was out with us in 1999 during our Risk tour.
Right.
And to see them go from being this kind of little baby band to really develop to being, you know, a real headliner. And obviously Disturbed, you know, has done some great things with metal, you know, in their years. And it's, you know, I guess a lot of them kind of point back to us and the Big Four and that era of music. And of course, we point back to Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, and they probably point back to Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin, and you know what I mean, and on it goes, you know, back to somewhere. I don't know where the
Beethoven eventually sitting back going, "Hey guys,"
somebody, you know. But it's nice, you know, that we can all build upon each other, and you know, to that end, it's nice to see that here on Mayhem, there's some great music coming up over on those side stages, you know, new music, and it's nice to see that there's a future, you know, because. You know, you always want something new to be coming along because that's what keeps this thing going. You know, we can't rest on our laurels, and so it's nice to see that we're handing the torch off to other people.
The last Megadeth tour I saw was the In-Game tour in Charlotte, and it's right before you came back to the band. Okay. But they brought out this young band from out in Denver, Colorado called Arcane, and these guys now have a new album coming out, and talking with this bunch of young 20-something kids, they were just in awe that here we are sharing a stage with Megadeth.
Right.
And I think a lot of these up-and-coming bands, they look back to that and they're like, you know, this is somebody I grew up with. This is somebody that influenced me and made me get into music. Right. And here I am sharing the bill with one of my idols. For a young up-and-coming band and somebody being a musician myself, to be able to say, I was on the same stage as Megadeth.
Right.
To be able to say that I sat backstage and had a beer with David Ellefson or
water at least.
Yeah,
right?
water at least, or even we sat in there in the catering room and had chicken wings together. It's one of those things that it becomes a surreal moment for these.
Yeah, I
kids.
mean, again, I think we all start out as fans. You, me, everybody here who's probably on site at Mayhem is a fan. That's why we're here. That's why we get into whatever part of the business we do here. And we had those experiences. Opening for Alice Cooper, Judas Priest, playing with Iron Maiden. I've had all of us have had their records in our collection over the years, and we took out a lot of little baby bands over the years that little baby bands like Korn,
yeah,
Pantera,
yeah.
Stone Temple Pilots. We were joking at one point. We're like, geez, anybody who comes out with us is going to get bigger than we are, because these bands all went on to sell millions of records and become, they shifted culture within music themselves, and so it's cool, I think, for us to be able to offer those opportunities. So much of this business is about having to, money driven, of course, but as record labels don't have the kind of money and the budgets are gone, and music gets shared and all that kind of stuff, and it's I think we've been one of these bands that we have not gone around and demanded that people pay all this money to buy onto our tours and do these kind of things, because at some point, man, everybody deserves some kind of a break,
right?
And we were given breaks, and that helped us, and now we try to pass that on and give breaks to younger bands that are coming up whenever and wherever possible.
Now, I know Dave, when he writes, like especially with Peace Sells, this came out in the Reagan era.
Yeah.
And it was a huge stab at the economy and the way the government was running at the time. And he's continued throughout his career to write in that same vein. He's always taking a look at the way the world works, the way the government treats its people. Is 13 going to carry on that same social commentary?
It's funny that you talk about those same topics, and those same topics are everything we hear about today. So it's funny that this gets reissued 25 years later, and this topics are still the same,
right?
And it has 13 does definitely have a lot of that. And there's it's interesting with lyrics because there's definitely some political things, and Megadeth has always written also about some personal life things. I think when you write your life, there's no way you can lie, because you're just writing about your life, and that's something that I think any listener can connect to that on some level. And then on 13, there's also some other really cool stuff that kind of venturing into some storytelling almost of sorts, which you'll have to hear it to hear what I'm talking about, but that's a tricky art form as a writer to write like that,
right?
To take an idea, even if that idea is fact, but write sort of almost a fictional story out of that, So that's something that we haven't really done much of before, and there's some of that on 13, and I thought it came off really, really cool, actually.
Are you going to treat the fans here on the tour to anything off the new album?
Yeah, we actually have one song that we've been playing called Public Enemy #1. And it's ironic, we actually debuted it at a little one-off show we did back in the beginning of July. We're doing the Big Four shows, and we had a little headlining show we did in Hamburg, Germany. And a club we played many times over the years. And so that was the night to fire it off. And it's interesting because that was a song that musically was composed while we were on tour last summer over in Europe. So it was kind of cool to have it come full circle. And there we are in Europe again, and we finally got to debut the song because it's recorded for an album.
So what's the release date for 13?
November 1st.
Not that long away.
No, it's coming up quick.
So you finish up with Mayhem, 13 hits the stores, and tour soon after?
Yeah, we have the big Yankee Stadium Big Four show coming up in September, and I think we're all looking forward to that.
That's going to be insane.
Yeah, it's huge. That's going to be great. And then we have a big Latin American tour coming up in November, and then there's always things coming and going that we may kind of randomly pick and choose a few things, but then we're definitely going to be looking to launch the world tour right after the first of the year.
I know around Christmas time, Dave gets really involved with like Toys for Tots and things like that. He's worked a deal with Hasbro. I know when I talked to him last year, they match him dollar for dollar on what he puts in, and he divides it up between all these different children's hospitals and charities and orphanages. And, you guys going to help out with that again this year? Or?
I don't really know. I mean, we kind of try to do our own personal tithing, of the, our harvest, so to speak, and so we each, I think, personally try to do some of that as a band. I don't know if we'll do that, I think it's kind of, something we kind of put out to everybody. It's something that should be kind of on your heart to do as you see fit.
Well, what would be your pet? project?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that I actually have a pet project right now. I mean, I try to give to, Music Cares is something that years ago when I was kind of going through some personal struggles and came out of that. That organization is being formed now. They're a big part of the Grammys and
Right.
the Neris organization. So that's something that, for me personally, because I've been struggled through those roads myself, that I, kind of have an affinity for. So that's certainly one.
Okay.
So.
What about something for the troops? Wounded Warrior thing.
Yeah, I've actually helped do some things with Wounded Warrior. Some people have come to me before personally on that level, so I've done some things. And I mean, certainly our troops, we should support them always, And we're out here playing rock and roll. In fact, it's interesting. Last night I did a bass clinic here for Harkey,
right.
Sam Ash Music in Atlanta, and a guy came through who was part of our military, and he's getting deployed in March, and he actually gave me a gift. I'm thinking, geez, I should be giving you the gift, because
right.
we're just goofing off playing rock and roll here. This is like summer vacation for all of us. But it was cool that he came through, and we shot a little video clip with him and put him up on my YouTube channel.
I actually saw that.
Yeah, just as a way to give back, because, I mean, how do you give back? I mean, someone's putting their life on the line. What could you ever possibly give back to them of that magnitude? So I think in any way that we can support, whether it's personally, financially, whatever it is, that we can do to just show, our care and support for the troops should always be done.
Guys, look out for it. November 13, the new album from Megadeth hitting stores. David Ellefson about to hit the stage here at Mayhem in Atlanta. See you guys on the flip side. Dave, appreciate you taking time out.
You bet.